further information, if you look at our standing orders, Standing Order 103 of the Senate Standing Orders require that any person alleging that a matter is sub judice to provide evidence showing that, number one, those proceedings have actually been filed. And the reason why the standing orders require that is so that we see if the discussions we want to have this morning, because for us, we are not a fault-finding committee. We are seeking understanding of the gaps in enforcement, in application of the law that might have led to this unfortunate event, so that we don't have a similar event. I am sure the people in court are seeking compensation. We are not seeking compensation from you. We want to understand, as the representatives of the people, what gaps there are in the working space of the agencies responsible for safety that might have led to this happening. So if you have the pleadings with you, it would be nice for you, once the MDO CEO is sworn in, to provide those pleadings so that we can be able to certify ourselves that we are not delving into any of the matters that are before the court.
Compensation arises through the pleadings, but there are also many other orders that have been sought against Nema and other agencies of government. I am happy to provide the pleadings. I have a soft copy. Yes.
Yes, so Chair, once the MD is sworn in, the person responsible for production of documents for the committee is the MD. So I don't know what's taking long. Which religion did he say he ascribes to? We're going to look for the Bhagavad Gita or the... He's Catholic. Yes, so we should have copies of the Bible. And this house has very many Christians who carry them even in the pockets. Chris, this should not take this long. Yes.
You could go next to the mic here.
I, Mama Boru Mamo, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before the Senate, this committee, in respect of the matters before the Senate, this committee, shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Thank you. Documents, that's all you have, including what the council has said.
Yes.
You know? But we have received all the documents from the Nema CEO, and we have taken custody of all the documents.
And this is just a petition.
This one for the court.
Yeah.
Okay, this one second care of it. Thank you. Have a seat.
Thank you.
So, we need to review several documents, if there are enough copies. Welcome, Mheshimiwa Babu, Owino, as a friend of the committee and also a member who comes from the same constituency where the accident has happened. So please introduce yourself to the members.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm Honorable Dr. Babu Owino, member for Embakasi's constituency.
Thank you. I think Honorable Babu, we will have your governor, the governor of Nairobi, but of course he did not appear, and he just sent us a letter saying that he is attending a funeral, which is taking place today. And I felt that this is not the right time to give us a letter. I understand you and Senator Sifuna were supposed to attend the same burial. But unfortunately, the governor decided to maybe go earlier. I don't know what happened. The committee have decided, for this second time has failed, the third time. And it's obviously just next to the parliament. That is summoned officially by parliament a bit late. So great to know that. I think the Senate is taking all the procedures that have been followed. Hopefully also appear for Senate. So maybe you can, you have something to add?
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, the said funeral that the government is attending, we are also going together with my senator and my party secretary general, Honorable Edwin Sifuna. And Chairman, this is disrespect to the committee, because for us, we are here first. It is not that it is the governor who is carrying the coffin to the grave. It is not him doing that. And even burial will take place in the afternoon. And it is not that it is the governor who is going to welcome people at the funeral. So the governor should not cry more than the bereaved at the funeral. People died in Embakasi East and 13 people died. Yes. The governor did not even send 10 shillings for their burial. Right now, the governor is giving an excuse that is going for this funeral. The last time when these people were raised down by fire, the governor passed Embakasi's constituency and went to South Africa to dance there to celebrate his birthday. So you can see, Chairman, that the governor of Nairobi is treating this committee with a lot of contempt. So you must stamp authority, Chairman, because even us, we are going to that funeral. Thank you.
I think now we'll proceed, and already the committee has made a decision on next consequences of having action for the governor, and I think that one stands. So let's proceed. I will welcome the CEO for Nema, Mr. Mamu, Dr. Mamu. Can I have the title for you? Mr. Mamu. Okay, Mr. Mamu Boru, you're welcome. And I think you have the paper, you can answer all the questions you have been asked. And your team, maybe they can support you.
Thank you so much, honorable senators. First, for this unfortunate incident on behalf of Nema, I want to give our deepest condolences to those who lost their lives in this very unfortunate incident. And to those who are in hospitals, we wish them quick recovery. Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, just to give a general overview, and I'm reading through our statement before I respond to the specific questions. Honorable Chair, as Nema, our mandate is basically two. One is general supervision and coordination of environmental issues in our country. Two, we are also the principal instrument of government in the implementation of all environmental policy in our country. Honorable Chair, as an authority, we use various environmental assessment tools, like strategic environmental assessments for programs and plans, environmental and social impact assessment for existing projects, and environmental audit for environmental audit for existing projects, to process various development application requests as applicable. The developmental applications to Nema are usually processed in line with the provisions of the Environmental Management and Coordination Act 1999 and also the Environmental Regulations 2003. Section 58(1) of the Environmental Management and Coordination Act, Honorable Chair, states that, and I read, notwithstanding any approvals, permits, or license granted under this Act or any other law in force in Kenya, any person being a proponent of a project shall, in bold, before financing, commencing, proceeding with, carrying out, executing, or conducting, or causing to be financed, commenced, proceed with, carried out, executed, or conducted by any other person, any undertaking specified in the second schedule of the MCA Act submits a project report to the authority in the prescribed form, giving the prescribed information, and which shall be accompanied by prescribed fees. It goes further, Honorable Chair, under the Regulation 4, Part 2 of the Environmental Impact Assessment and Audit Regulation 2003, which states that, and I read, I quote, no licensing authority under any law in Kenya, in force in Kenya, shall issue a license for any project for which an EIA is required under the MCA Act unless the applicant produces to the licensing authority a license of environmental impact assessment issued by the authority under these regulations. Honorable Chair, honorable members, this means that NEMA processes, or the environmental social impact assessment process, precedes the issuance of relevant government permits, licenses, and approval documents from various mandated agencies. As such, honorable Chair, honorable members, NEMA license is a pre-authorization tool focusing on the environmental suitability of the proposed project site. And this is, honorable Chair, subject to authorization and clearance from other lead agencies. And these lead agencies are captured under the first schedule of the MCA Act. They are Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, Nairobi City County, Directorate of Occupational Health and Safety, Kenya Bureau of Standards, among others. I proceed to page 2, honorable Chair members. Therefore, honorable Chair, the issuance of an environmental and social impact assessment license to a proponent does not absolve the proponent, the project proponent, from the obligation to acquire other applicable permits, licenses, and approvals from relevant agencies before financing, commencing, and execution of the proposed project. The environmental and social impact assessment process is kept alive by the license conditions, which form the basis on which the authority and other lead agencies monitor the compliance by the project proponent. Honorable Chair, with your permission, I will now respond to specific questions.
Yeah, point of order, Chair, just before it gets into the specifics. When our CEO, you are saying that the license by NEMA precedes all other licenses by all other agencies.
Absolutely.
So that, but for your license, nobody else can issue any license.
Precisely. Sure.
If somebody doesn't show up to EPRA with a NEMA license, they'll just chase him away, isn't it?
Kabisa.
Okay, so when you get into the specific answers, bear that in mind, that you are telling the committee that if you had done your job, these people would not have even gotten anywhere near the offices of EPRA or the county government of Nairobi or any other agency that is required to issue any licenses. That's what you're saying.
I'll explain that, Honorable Senator.
Thank you.
Okay. Chair, just before he proceeds, I'd also like you to define the environmental suitability of a project, bearing in mind the residential nature of the location where this project took place.
Thank you. Can I proceed, Honorable Chair? Thank you so much. Honorable Chair, the first question from the committee is 1. Explain why the LPG refilling facility was located close to human settlements. Honorable Chair, our response is the land use zonation is one among several key aspects that are evaluated during the processing of an EIA application. The EIA application by Magix Nairobi, Kenya referenced that for the proposed LPG storage and filling plant was to be located on plot number that of North Airport Road. Special condition number 5 of the provided land title registration document, which we have annexed as Annex 1, in support for the application indicate that the land and the buildings shall only be used for inoffensive industrial purposes with auxiliary offices and stores. We've annexed that title, Annex 1, Honorable Chair. This means that the area, Honorable Chair and Senators, is zoned for industrial purposes. and other related uses. Thus, this could only mean that the human settlements in the vicinity of the proposed site are encroached into the industrial zone. Planning for land uses has been and continues to be one of the most challenging aspects of the nexus between environment and planning. To ensure sustainability, they need to restrict incompatible developments within the various sectors such as industrial, residential, agriculture, mining, forestry, and water resources, among others, needs to be more economically efficient, aesthetically pleasing, socially and environmentally sustainable. It is worth noting, Honorable Chair, that the EIA process is a pre-authorization requirement during the developmental approval process that a proposed project, proponent/investor is supposed to attain, in this case, for the setting up of such facility. This additionally means that the licensed proponent was required to obtain other developmental approval requirements, such as construction and operational permit for an LPG facility from EPRA, requisite approval from the city county, Nairobi City County, as outlined in the EIA condition, license condition number 2.1, 2.3, 2.4, and 3.1. We have annexed our license, Annex 2, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. The EIA process, or the EIA process, recognized the need for institutional and public recognition of government lead agencies and other stakeholders, including the project affected persons, through public consultations as provided for in Regulation 9.2 of the Environmental Impact Assessment and Audit Regulation 2002. Noting the above, Honorable Chair, public participation in form of a meeting between the proponent and the project affected persons was held on 25th February 2021. Duly filled questionnaires and a letter of no objection from the Nyayo Embakasi Association was provided as evidence of the public participation, Annex 3. Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, to guarantee sustainability of the project, the license condition 1.4 requires the proponent to implement and maintain an environmental management system, organizational structure, and allocate resources that are sufficient to achieve compliance with the requirements and the condition of this license. This is further emphasized on condition 3.15, which states that the proponent shall ensure environmental protection facilities or measures to prevent pollution and ecological deterioration, such as functional waste management system, functional oil and water interceptor, installation of firefighting equipment and installation of alarm devices, solid waste management systems, air quality management systems, measures, traffic management plan, emergency response plans, water monitoring, informative warning signs, occupational safety and health plans, solid waste management, oil leaks and spills. Detection systems are designed, constructed, and employed simultaneously with the proposed project. Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, the next question is to provide...
Point of order. Just before you go to the next some interventions, Chair. First of all, Honourable CEO, you yourself have said that in the document that was provided for purposes of approval, the land use conditions, there was a requirement that the land shall only be used for inoffensive industrial purposes. Now, I don't know what Nema defines inoffensive industrial purposes to mean, but just a cursory search of the word offensive industry, and I want to read this for you. Offensive industry means a development for the purposes of an industry which, when the development is in operation and when all measures proposed to reduce or minimize its impact on the locality have been employed, including, for example, measures to isolate the development from existing or likely future development on other land in the locality, would emit a polluting discharge in a manner which would have a significant adverse effect in the locality or on the existing or likely future development on other land in the locality. What is the definition of inoffensive industry as per Nema's own understanding? Because in my view, having read that definition, setting up of a gas plant on this particular property would fall within that ambit of offensive industrial purposes. And secondly, Chair, first I note that your annexures are not numbered, which I am going to blame on your council, because when you refer to an annexure, we have to see where the annexure 1 and 2 begin and end. Then you have annexed a letter here, and I am sure the Honorable Babu Owino will have something to say about this letter from the Nyayo Embakasi Residents Association. Yes, the distance between Nyayo Estate and this plant would maybe fall within that distance. Do you have a similar letter from the immediate neighbors of this particular project? And finally, when you say that the residential area encroached on an industrial zone, I want to understand the basis upon which you make that assertion, because you would have to show us a history of the entire parcels of land surrounding that area and that fact of encroachment. I thank you, Chair.
Maybe, Mr. Chairman, if I piggyback on Senator Sifuna's question. You talked about the zoning, and then I'm particularly interested in one paragraph. You said this means that the area is zoned for industrial purposes and other related uses. Thus, this could only mean that the human settlement in the vicinity of the proposed site had encroached into the industrial area. You introduced one of the gentlemen here as an enforcement agent. Then what was the work of that enforcement agent? If, in your own license, and I know licenses are issued on a calendar year, if your own license, and I'm also aware that the EIA, or Environmental Impact Assessment, is carried out on an annual basis, or maybe in, I don't know, 2 years or whatever. What was the work then of your enforcement agency if you realize that the human settlement have encroached into the area, which is zoned for industrial purposes? Could you not really put the interest of the humans ahead and stop issuing licenses and maybe either engage the city county of Nairobi or ask the person, or not issue a license to that person because of the change in circumstances?
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman. Just if I may know your name, what's your name?
My name is Mamo. Mamo.
Thank you. Now, Mamo, you seem to be talking with a lot of temerity or rude courage, and seem to be knowing what you are talking about, which might be a lie to some extent, because number one, I want to tell you 2 cases of necessity. There was a case of the Speluntian explorers, where these explorers were trapped after there was a landslide. Then they learned through a radio call that they would starve to death in case they don't get food. So these explorers decided to kill one person to eat so that they avoid the death of others. When taken to court, the judgment came in their favor, stating that it was necessary to kill one person for them to eat, because either way they would have died. That was one case. The next case was the case of Mills versus the Queen, which was again stating the doctrine of necessity, where there were gentlemen who were traveling by sea. Then again they were starving to death. So they decided that in order of their age, they would be killing one person at a time until they reach their destination, because either way they would die. Coming back home, you are saying that this is an area that was meant for industrial activities. Having noted that there was an alleged encroachment, as you are saying, as perceived, of which if there's an encroachment, then how did Kenya Power supply power to these people who are encroaching this area? How did Nairobi City Council approve the supply of water and other amenities within the area. Because for these people to have encroached, for these people to apply for these amenities, they must use a title deed. And if you go to that area, you will find not only houses made of mabatis, but there are also permanent residential houses. So therefore, in your wisdom or lack of the same, how did you come to the conclusion that this place was a residential, was an industrial area and not a residential area, while people are staying there, and there's never been any court case raised against the alleged encroachers, or how are they called? That's so, Bwana DG, you must really explain to this committee without laying blame games on these people whom you are saying that encroached the said parcel of land. And going by Bwana Advocate SG, the law of tort, negligence, you owe these people a duty of care. Having known that this is an industrial area and people are still staying there, what did you do? Why did you proceed to issue a license for that matter? So what did you do? Thank you.
Before I think I want to have a change of chair. I'll introduce Senator Kipsang, the substantive vice chair, to take over the chair. Please welcome here.
Yeah, good. My name is.
I'm going for another meeting.
That's okay. That's okay. Sorry, I'm late. I had a meeting with the CS in the morning. I thought the chair would be here, but my name is William Kisang, Senator Elgeyo-Marakwet County, and the vice chair of this committee. Good, DG. Actually, DG is a friend of mine, so welcome. This is what happens in this house. Answer questions.
Babu, Honorable Chair, just to conceptualize this issue, if you go to this site, Honorable members, we do not have an LPG power plant at this site. What Nema licensed was a futuristic project, was a proposed project to be set up by this proponent. And I visited the site several times. And I've asked you to just visit this site. This site is just a yard. And this fellow just used it as a garage. What blew up was the tanker, the LPG tanker, the bullet. When we received this report from the project proponent, and I said our license is pre-authorization, and it's a legal requirement.
Point of order, Chairman. Bwana DG, you are saying what blew up was
a tanker.
Do you know what led to blowing up of that tank, and several tankers for that matter?
Yes.
Were you there that day when it blew up?
I wasn't, but I got the information.
I think,
Chair, what happened?
Owino, let's give him to respond.
Yeah,
Then we do a follow-up.
Let me try and help.
We do a follow-up questions.
Let me try and help Honorable Babu. The reason why we have to object at that particular point in time, Mr. Chairman, you have annexed your own license, Bwana DG. Let me put on record that personally, as a senator of Nairobi, I have visited that site. I am aware that Honorable Babu Owino has visited the site. He knows it very well because I was there with him and he has been there several times. Your own document, Bwana DG, says you licensed a proposed storage, LPG storage and filling plant. And filling plant. This is your own document. Unfortunately, you did not mark it. I don't know which annexure number it is. But that is your document. And then it says whose objective is to carry on installation of a 10 metric ton liquefied petroleum gas storage and filling plant associated facilities and amenities. It is public fact that the accident happened during a refilling process. Yes. We have been there ourselves. We have seen storage tanks for LPG, the very same thing that you licensed. So, Mr. DG, when you're giving evidence, so that we don't keep objecting, kindly stick to the truth. of what was licensed and the causes of the accident are known. They are now public. We have had the EPRA here. Maybe the clerk should also furnish them with the report from EPRA, because an investigation into the causes of the accident have already happened and they are presented before this committee. So please, let's not argue about the causes of the accident or what you licensed, because your own document here speaks to what you licensed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Can I respond to that?
Okay, not respond to that alone. Just respond
Yes,
to
yes.
you. I believe you wrote down
Yes,
questions.
absolutely, absolutely.
So just continue, and then members will give you an opportunity to do a round of supplementary questions. But to be factual, I believe you took an oath.
Yes, I did.
Yes. So okay.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Just to clarify, Senator, look at, it says like this, whose objective, I'm just reading the license, whose objective is to carry out installation of 10 metric ton liquefied petroleum gas storage and filling plant.
Yes.
It's a plant, but that was not set up. We do not have, and I repeat again, we do not have a plant.
Just
at
on a
the site.
point of order.
It
Just,
blew up
no,
out
just
because
hold
there
on.
was no plan.
Just on a point of order. You know, we can also read. You know, so don't take us as if we don't know what we are reading. Your own license, if you read the last paragraph of your own license, what does it say? Has been reviewed, and a license is hereby issued for the implementation of the project subject to the attached condition. When you say earlier that it was a futuristic, a proposal for a future, do they come back to you again and say, we've completed, now give us a second license?
Honorable Chair, before this proponent construct the plant, authorization comes from EPRA. They're the ones to advise him on the operation, on the construction and operation of the plant. And you know, they licensed these trucks, 6 of them. And what this fellow did was to dispense this gas from a tanker and not from a plant.
Now, Chair, with great respect, I'm sure Babu is going to take us to the definition of a plant.
Definitely.
Now, there is something called the natural consequences of an action. My brother, DG, if you license somebody to set up a plant, and they are a refilling plant, in the natural consequences of that action, is it an action that is far removed from what you licensed if these people are doing refilling, but not in the manner that is anticipated by the law? Because it is a consequence. It is something that arises from that one transaction of what you licensed. If you are the DG of Nema and you issued a license for a refilling plant, and you came there and found them operating water business or borehole or a restaurant, that you can say is outside the purview of what it is you licensed, you are not going to escape the fact that what was happening at this plant, if you don't want to call it a plant, this premises was refilling and storage of gas. That's what you licensed.
Honorable Chair, I want to make reference to 2.1. Kindly, Honorable Senators. 2.2 is construction conditions, because I said our license is conditional license. And it says 2.1. Let me finish, Honorable Chair.
This is what we tried to avoid,
let me finish, Honorable Chair.
because you want to blame other agencies. Because 2.1 talks about the county government and other relevant authorities.
No, let me
What
finish,
we are
Honorable
saying,
Chair.
no, DG, please. We said we are not here to find blame.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I don't know how to say this, but we can tell when you're trying to be clever, trying to run away from what is important. At the end of the day, you told us that your license is a prerequisite.
Yes.
You don't need to send people to the Nairobi County government if you have said no, because of the prevailing circumstances on the ground. What we want you to explain, Baradiji, is how was it possible for you to issue this license in an area where the condition on the license, on the title itself, was that you cannot have installations there, in your own words, that are offensive industrial purposes.
And Chair, the definition of a plant, I want to tell you that some of us, DG, are more educated than you. Number one, a place where an industrial or manufacturing process takes place, And the synonyms to a plant: number one, factory, works, foundry, mill, workshop, shop, yard. So you use the word yard. So yard is here meaning a plant. Proceed.
So please, colleagues, so that we make progress also, let's give him an opportunity where you believe you need some clarification, just note, and then we will ask at the end. Otherwise, at this rate, DG, we are unlikely to finish this meeting because of, as you answer, you are raising
Chair, just to guide you, please,
issues.
just to guide you.
Yes.
He was responding to question number two.
2.1.
His response is at 2.1.
Yes.
This, for me, and I'm sure for Honorable Babu and the people of Embakasi, is the most critical question.
Yes.
And if we don't dwell and get answers from here, the rest of the answers are auxiliary.
That's what I'm saying.
So
that's what I'm saying. Let him respond to this 2.1,
Yes.
all of it, and then now we'll still ask on the same.
Chair, point of order,
Yes.
you walked in when he had already read.
Yeah.
So we were asking questions on his response. So I beg you that you allow him to respond to our concerns on this 2.1, because the next issues really
They are not.
are ancillary.
Yes. Yeah. So please, DG, and be factual and precise so that we don't waste a lot of time.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members.
No.
Yes. Yes.
No.
So I thought it is in some schedule, because what is here in the act. So what you are googling could be wrong.
Honorable Chair, the schedule is for the high-risk, medium, and
I think one of your officers is trying to help you.
No, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, I think Honorable Sifuna, I know what you are looking at is, you are saying if it's offensive, that is a very dangerous facility. It could cause harm. But why a gas plant, if well constructed, with all the control measures put in place, it automatically takes away the risk? And if that was done, if it was not being dispensed from a truck, if we had a well-constructed plant that Nema licensed, meeting all those conditions, we are more or less sure that what happened could not have happened.
Is there an engineer in your team or anyone with knowledge of failure of plants and material? Even the best, most well-constructed industries fail. The inoffensiveness of an industry, first of all, let me say this is not my word. It is a condition in the title deed that was presented to you for you to be able to issue a license. So, for instance, if I bring to you a title deed that says this area is riparian land, that there should be no human settlement there, you cannot tell me that I can do it in a way that would ensure that the environment is still protected. This is a condition in the title. I am asking you, my brother, is it possible, even after somebody has met all the safety measures, everything has been done by the book, accidents do happen? So the measure of whether something is an offensive industry or not is the environmental impact that would result in the very unlikely event that there is a failure. You understand? So for you as Nema to have issued a license in an environment where you know, even if the plant was set up properly, all the engineers certified, the question you should ask yourself, what if, in that unlikely event, what if this plant failed? Did you speak to the people in the neighborhood? Did you consider what would happen to the people in the neighborhood if it failed? That is the question for Nema. And for you to issue that license, you are the people who allowed these guys to then move to other places, because when they go to the county government, they say Nema has already approved. When they go to the EPRA, they say Nema has already approved. And I heard the MD saying they asked all these other agencies. I want him to confirm here. Did EPRA not tell you that a gas plant cannot be set there?
EPRA, they told us they rejected twice. They didn't issue license twice because they didn't meet some conditions. So, so that when you're answering, you need to know that EPRA did not issue a license to operate that particular plant.
And Chair, this issue of inoffensive and offensive, as we are talking about it, you know, the intention was for it to be inoffensive, which was a physical change. At what point now did it change? The same thing that you licensed, which was inoffensive. At what point did it change to become unoffensive, which was a chemical change?
Please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. Yes, we did receive. Okay. Yes, we did receive comments, sectoral comments from EPRA stating that this facility should not be constructed at that stage. And that is why the proponent did not construct the LPG plant at that site. Because one of the mandates of EPRA is also to do what they call the risk assessment, the qualitative risk assessment that will model a radiation blast profile. They are the ones to advise us on that. That is why they have to give an estimation of the distance between an industry and a residential area.
Proceed. Just proceed.
Then, Honorable Chair, I proceed with question number 2 to provide the name of the company that was running the facility and the beneficial owners.
Just on a point of order, Chair, before you proceed. Mr. Chairman, question number 2.1 is really the basis of our inquiry. These are the issues we can be able to read your submissions. They're not very, very important. You've noted clearly here that the committee has a challenge in understanding inoffensive and offensive, and also the nature of the business that took place there. Mr. Chairman, my proposal will be as follows. 1, we do not find the response in 2.1 satisfactory. Having not found that response to be satisfactory, I want to invite you, Mr. Chairman, to give us a direction on how we proceed further. Because question number 2, it's immaterial. You know, 2.2. Because if we go to even 2.2, 2.3, we talk about the powers. My concern would be, unless we are satisfied with query number 2.1, we cannot continue. Mr. Chairman. No, I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying. I don't think we can proceed further because we are not satisfied with the response they have given to 2.1. You know? Unless we're satisfied, we can't proceed. It's not going to help us.
Through the chair, if I may say something.
Just hold on. Chairman.
Yes, it's an intervention because we are going to give some direction shortly.
Looking at the line of questioning from my learned colleagues, and very respectfully, because we have 3 lawyers on the panel, it's my feeling that honorable members are pushing the Director General of Nema towards the direction of admitting liability. And when this sitting started, I had mentioned the issue of sub judice, that these matters are before court. Of course, the petition that is in court seeks to have Nema admit liability among other government institutions. And so if Honorable Ladema is saying that the response is unsatisfactory, I believe that we can leave it to the court to determine on the basis of merit and on the basis of the evidence that will be presented before court.
Mr. Chairman, let me just... I don't think we are pushing the DG to accept liability. Our role here is not to push you to accept liability. Our role here is to investigate. If you followed my line of questioning, the first question that I asked was squarely based on paragraph 2 of 2.1. And if you can read that, you'll understand where I was coming from. I clearly asked a question and said, this means that the area is zoned for industrial purposes and other related uses. Thus, this could only mean that the human settlement in the vicinity of the proposed site had encroached into the industrial zone. And my next question was very simple. I said, if that may be, what does your director of compliance, is it compliance? Enforcement, what does he do? That is the first point that I wanted to clarify, so that we understand. Because if you are an agency that has been set up to ensure the suitability of an environment for any kind of projects to exist there, what is the role of your enforcement agency? If your enforcement agency goes out there and finds that this area, which we had zoned out for industrial purposes, has been encroached by human settlement, then what is the next course of action? That is my question. I don't think we are pushing the DG to accept liability. We're not here to say who is guilty and who is not guilty. Our role here is to carry out investigation so that the people of Embakasi can be able to get justice. I think my colleagues, my two colleagues, you know, are very emotional because this is their jurisdiction. You know, Babu Owino paid for bills, buried people who are, you can understand that. You know, Sifuna has been tasked by the Constitution to protect the interests of the people of Nairobi. So you can understand the emotional nature. You know, so I think the issue here is this. Since the two colleagues are not satisfied with 2.1, neither am I satisfied, because I need to get a response from him to say, what is your job? You know, it's not about the issue of subsidies or not. We are not here to say he's guilty. How can I say he's guilty? You know, all of you would be guilty because he cannot do everything alone. He requires the support of everyone else. So, Mr. Chairman, my question is very simple. If you find that a place which you had zoned for Project A is being interfered by another Project B, what do you do? Very simple as that, Mr. Chairman.
So do you, I think what we need to do, members, is you've heard from the legal counsel, from Nema, that the issue is in court, but that doesn't stop us. That doesn't stop us.
Chair, let him answer the question. It's very simple.
All right.
We can't let him answer the question.
Yeah, especially the compliance person. Why? Because this was not the first time for this particular company to dispense. You can pick it, the product. Please, can you say something on that?
Actually, before you answer, we can calm down. Can we figure out how to resolve this matter? Because I think there are so many emotions. Remove the emotions. Let us be sensible. Let us try to figure out what can we do. You know, this helps us deal with other incidences. You understand? So calm down, relax. Hakuna mtu anakupiga hapa. Okay?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. What I want to say, you know, the solution of the areas that we license our projects is normally under the county government. So however much we want to enforce the solutions, we may not be in a position to do so. So what we normally do, once we get the license, we look at the license petition. And like the license, right, if we read, you know, the area was zoned for inoffensive industries. What this simply means is in relation to the impact that the project will have on the environment if, and only if, it's run under the right conditions. And that's why we were saying in our second schedule, we have categorized those industries. Because under normal circumstances, we find gas in our own houses, and we use it, and because we use it well, it never causes accidents. So what I would want to say, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, is that this was purely an accident caused by negligence. So if the industry was, you know, the plant was licensed and ran well, I don't think this was going to happen. Honorable Chair, allow me also to say that at the time of the accident, the industry was not running. If it was running, our enforcement team would have been on the ground monitoring compliance with rice conditions. Unfortunately, there was nothing to monitor. Thank you, Chief.
Mr. Chairman, maybe just what I may want to say is this. And this now brings us to a situation where we become preventive. I think it is about time for you to look at your terms of your licenses. In the event that you now see that there is encroachment, you now try to amend those terms. Because I've gone through your terms and conditions, and I think if I can go back to that and I don't forget exactly what I read, is that I think it was 2.1. The proponent shall obtain the requisite approval from the county government of Nairobi and all other relevant authorities prior to the commencement of work. I think you have to expound that a little bit in terms of saying that if the conditions are still the same, you know, because if you now leave it for them to go and get these other licenses, they'll go and get the licenses, yes. But maybe the circumstances have changed. The area is now not suitable for the kind of project they wanted to implement. So I think these conditions, and if you need support from Parliament, you come in, we have that conversation and say, how do we change this? If it is bound by an act of Parliament, we look at it. But if it's things that you can be able to change, if it is within your purview, I think you just need to be awake a little bit. This is not the first time we're dealing with Nema. I remember last year, no, not last year, but last Parliament, we dealt with the issue of Solai Dam. And I think we must have learned something from there. You know, your conditions should not be static. You know, they should evolve with time. You look at what is happening. That's why you'll avoid all this litigation. You'll avoid all this confrontation back and forth. If you keep your document the way they were in 1960, of course, currently things will change. And you'll get a big bashing. So, Mr. Chairman, my suggestion is this. We have heard what they say, and I'm happy with your response. Because at least you've given us where we want to go. EPRA came and said licenses were not issued. They denied issuing licenses twice. Okay? That should be telling. Okay? Could it be that they have continued to reevaluate their conditions and these people could not meet their conditions? That is where you need to be heading as an agency. Because we need you. Sometimes you don't realize how powerful you are until you come here now when you have to answer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if we can continue. It's up to you.
Honorable Chair,
Yes,
just to add on what my colleague has stated, we have licensed currently 136 LPG plants countrywide with the support of EPRA, 136. If this plant would have been set up properly, like a plant, an LPG plant, we wouldn't get this issue. Because what actually happened was a criminal act, dispensing gas from a tanker, directly from a tanker. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, maybe just to add from what the DG and my colleague has said, and what Honorable colleague we to do to ensure that these things are not repeated. We center our reply in the zonation issues. This is our biggest challenge. And that's why that answer 2.1 is very key. Because Nema has nothing to do with what to be where. That is the sole responsibility of the county government. It actually does the zonation. We have a very minimal role. So, and that is what we have said, that going forward is that this is going to be very critical. That unless we have the zonation maps, that basically this is zoned for such a thing, the NEMA will not be approving. But if you look at our MCA, and probably that is where we are finding ourselves, where we are, is that it says, irrespective of what, we need just to look at it the way it is. That we are not supposed to wait until we are advised by the other lead agencies. Probably, in fact, that's where I think when we need to seek for your support. So that we look at things like the zones, so that before we approve this thing. Actually, I like what you have said, Mheshimiwa, because exactly that is the answer. If we have the zonation maps, and if those maps are respected by the county government, they don't interfere what we call piecemeal, probably those people are sitting on those titles, they are for settlement, and they were piecemeal changed. And you can now see the mess in which we are. So what you have said, Honorable Member, it is actually the correct way forward. that we must go back to our basics and zone this country so that we put rightful land uses in their rightful places. And whoever is going to help us in this are actually the county government. Nema has a minimal role. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
I think you're preaching to the choir. You know, we already converted. And I think the key most important thing is to ask, and maybe we'll deliberate further, is what next? We still have to find who is to blame for this. You've rightfully stated that this is a criminal act. So we will maybe discuss further as a committee to find out what we can do. However, as I end, I would like to invite the chair to allow you to resubmit on question number 2.1 to the satisfactory of the members. Just look at the question, explain why the LPG refilling facility was located close to human settlement. And I think to guide you a little bit there, you may want to engage even with the city county. And that's why we wanted the city county here. Because if Sakaja was here, then we could have understood at what point did the zoning of that area change, the land use of that area change. At that point did it change? You know, because we have a situation here where you rightfully say that it is a county government that has the power, but they cannot exist in isolation. You know, there are things that affect everyone, and all these agencies that are put in place. In fact, if you look at the Constitution, I think Article 187 or 189, it talks about the cooperation between national government and county governments. So there are things there are policies that we have to either refine them or make them better for us to be able to live well. So I think you should resubmit on 2.1, taking into consideration the questions that were put by my two colleagues who have since left to attend other matters. And then from there, maybe, Mr. Chairman, when we have Nairobi City County coming through the summons, you can also appear so that we can be able to find a solution to find a way forward. Because these sessions do advise us on what sort of legislative proposal changes we might come up with, or what we need to be able to do. And it also guides other investigative agencies to be able to go directly to where, to get who was the culprit here, or who was culpable there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good. Thank you, Honorable Member. DG, we have accepted your responses from 2.2 to 2.6, and you are not going to read. We'll take the written submissions the way they are. 2.1, we have said the responses are not satisfactory. You've heard what Honorable Owino has said and Sifuna. They are actually the MPs for the area. So from what they have said, you need to give us comprehensive response, including the definition of what they were asking, not from Google, from your laws and your regulations. You resubmit properly. We will also, from this, after all this engagement, we need, even you can also help us relook at the laws and regulations where you need that we need to help you to make some amendments. We use this unfortunate incident to also see how we can help you so that you are up to date on your laws. Because if Bra rejected twice, Nema has given a conditional license, a license with conditions. Nairobi County has given out. If you were working as a team, as one-stop shop, then this thing would not have been there. And then it's also good to admit, DG, that your compliance also, there's an issue. Maybe you have a capacity issue, maybe you don't have enough employees. Where you have given conditional license, there is no harm to do spot checks, inspections, to see have they started constructing, are they doing illegal at night, so that you can also set up a trap. These are the things that we are saying, so that you don't sit in the office. Your director or GM in charge of compliance should not be staying in the office. You should only be coming for meetings. Otherwise, you should be outside there. I worked for Nairobi City Commission, and there was something called service charge, 1991-92. We used to report in the morning, By 9, everybody's out. You're back at 4. So your people should not be in the office. Yeah, let's learn from Solai, let's learn from this, and not repeat again. And also focus on the highly density populated areas. You know, Kibra and the others. So please, we give 14 days or 7 days? 14 days to give us proper substantive response. You can resubmit the entire document, but focus on 2.1. If you can improve on the others, no problem. We've agreed as a committee to summon Sakaja. When he appears, we'll give you a short notice. We'll call you. We'll not give you, we just tell you, please come, so that there is no contradiction. You know, he might come and say, Nema gave out the license. And you know the biggest problem that we have, don't behave like county government of Nairobi. Because there are people who are putting up structures in areas where we don't have. Like you go to South Seas now, the place is chaotic. It's next to your office. It is chaos. Who is giving those approvals to do a 50-story building? And I have a small house there. I mean, 2 houses, you'll be surprised, Senator, 2 houses like this, built in 1970. Somebody demolishes a house that is touching yours and they're putting up a story building. I hope in them also you're supposed to, I want you to send your enforcement officers to Parkview Estate.
Chair, what I just wanted to say is that we're summoning Sakaja to appear within 7 days. I think we've set up a date for Thursday next week. Yes.
Chair, yes, it had been resolved to do Thursday next week, 7 days. But we've also given them 14 days. I think
so I think
best
you know next week next week is likely to be Easter. Do you think you are likely to might not fall in the same?
No. We already resolved for next Thursday, and there are 2 things we can't change. We're not changing.
So please check appropriate either Thursday or Thursday following week.
So no, Chair. We resolved to summon them on Thursday. We already resolved.
Good, then
so we're not going to pussyfoot on this matter.
Good.
We resolved for Thursday. If we want to invite Nema to come on Thursday, we invite them.
Good, just summoned. Just as a member, you know, I was not the chair then, so if it was resolved, I can't change what has been agreed by members. Then leave your Thursday window open so that in case it's coming, you will be called by the clerk.
Chair, can I send a rep because I'll be outside the country next week?
Even myself,
Impossible.
I'll be in Lusaka also.
Impossible. You have to be here yourself.
Good. So maybe it's also good to resolve as members. Let's do a visit. Let's see this place. Yeah. After we've done with the county government, it's also good to go there. Good.
So please postpone your trip. Come here on Thursday. Let's finish. It's more important. The president of Tanzania canceled a trip when the people died in Tanzania. So this is also very important. Those families are still. Let me tell you the sad reality. Nairobi City County they have a huge kitty on the disaster management, over 300 million.